You got Sanjaya.
Hey, welcome to Blockbuster Man Scott. Can I help you?
Do you have any movies that deal with death and dismemberment?
You mean like horror movies, man?
It doesn't matter, just death and dismemberment.
Well, it does matter, man, because they're all sectioned out here at Blockbuster, so I need to know if you're looking for a horror movie or action movie or a new release. Like, what are you into, man? Death and dismemberment? Like, what is that, man?
Movies where people die and get dismembered.
Can I see your ID, man?
I got an ID for you.
You got Sanjaya. He brought the rat monkey back from Sumatra.
But I had a permit.
Lee Bridges. He took 2 animal stimulants and buried himself in the backyard. Garrick Lane. Every time he gets a pimple, he thinks he has Sanjaya. Doug Wall. This is Tales from the Video Store. I'm still throwing up from the movie tonight. You go ahead and start us.
Okay.
I'm trying.
Keep going. How's it going, Doug?
Hey, Lee, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Good.
Oh, God.
How's everybody's week?
Whoa, got a little too real there, didn't
I'm
it?
trying to think a little bit.
Good week.
Yeah. Are you okay?
Yeah, baby. Yeah. You know, the movie we watched tonight, which we'll get into later, just a fun fact.
Yeah.
In Sweden, when they first came out on video, they were giving out supplemental gag bags.
That's awesome.
Throw-up bags.
They used to
go
do
with
that for
your
movies in
rifle.
the 70s. You would get like a movie ticket in a barf bag. Yeah.
A barf bag. How funny is that?
That's cool.
That's awesome. All right, anyway, let's get into it, man.
Yeah.
Let's get into it. What you got? You watch any good movies this week?
I did. I watched one on our death and dismemberment tip.
Right.
I wanted to watch something late 80s that kind of dealt with this subject matter, but maybe in a little bit different light because the movies that we've watched have all been similar, but yet quite different. So
Right.
I chose Wes Craven's Serpent in the Rainbow.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
This movie was made from a book by an anthropologist named Wade Davis, who was looking for this. He had heard about a story about this zombie powder that was made in Haiti and that had specifically been used on this particular man that had been killed or had died.
Or perceived to have died.
Right, several years ago, and then he's up walking around and people saw him and they claim he's the same guy, so he goes to investigate.
Yeah.
88 movie, man, it's cool.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Is that the one where Bill Pullman takes the nails to the nuts?
It is.
Yes. Bill Pullman is the main character. He plays, he doesn't play Wade Davis, but it's based on...
It's loosely based on the book.
Right. Anything dealing with voodoo or witchcraft that is not like our standardized witches, like this kind of voodoo witchcraft. When I was 13 when this movie came out, I thought all this was real.
Right.
I really thought that this was possible.
Yeah.
This zombie dust. And,
Right.
And that they were just getting into it, and I'm thinking, man, in 20 years I'm going to be using the zombie dust, for whatever purposes. The real life story behind this is quite a bit different. It's actually a little bit disturbing what Dr. Davis did. He actually tried to actually make some of this powder.
Right.
And while doing it, they did dig up a recently deceased child and use some of that tissue in this powder. So a lot of the medical field really looked down on this whole thing ethically because, it is kind of disturbing. But regardless of the real life story or not, that kind of voodoo-y stuff, it's just otherworldly to me.
Oh, yeah.
But it's something that, it belongs in your nightmares just like anything else. Like, it's very, very scary.
Yeah. And the movie, like you said, very well done.
Yeah, it's one of Wes Craven's best.
I think, and Wes Craven, before he was a filmmaker, was a college professor. Mm-hmm. And I think this movie more, I think he's taught English and ethics and things like that, various subjects. He was actually going to get his PhD when he started basically right before he made Last House on the Left, and basically decided that was, not what he wanted to do was be a doctor. And this probably appeals more to his intellectual side than something like The Hills Have Eyes did.
Right.
And it does kind of show you how they use a part of a sea poisonous frog. They use chemicals from sea urchins and things.
Right.
And have something like it, not zombies like we watched tonight, but more like it put someone in a trance. Basically like a mind control drug.
Right.
And it's very interesting. And then later on in the movie it gets into more of the magical, because voodoo is most people in Haiti are Catholic, but 100% I believe in voodoo. It's not it's more not really like their religion. It's more like their folk religion almost.
It's a way of life.
Right. It's a way. It's part of their culture.
Yeah, it's woven into the culture.
Right.
Sure.
And it's shown in good ways and bad ways in the movie. They're his guide knows how to make the powder and stuff, and then there's obviously the police chief who's a completely evil character, who's also in next week's movie.
Yeah.
And
Zex Moquet.
Yep. It was a great actor.
Yeah.
And
great musician too.
Yeah. And but it's a really cool movie, and it's probably, had Wes Craven's career went differently, it's probably more the type of movie he would have wanted to make.
There are. It's not as scary for me as it once was.
Oh no.
Most older horror movies aren't that scary.
It freaked me out as a kid.
But when I was younger, this was up there in my scariest movies. And
they buried him alive.
That scene, the buried alive
the
scene,
walls come up and it fills with blood.
and it fills up with blood. Watching that scene the other night, man, it's like the claustrophobia just washes over you. Then the camera kind of spins, and then the dirt starts to come in on him, and he's clawing.
Don't bury me. Yeah.
Yeah. It's scenes like that are they still stand up today.
Yeah.
But cool movie.
Yeah, very cool movie.
It was one that when I was a kid, I thought it was real.
Yeah.
Really. I thought it was real.
yeah.
I thought we'd be getting zombie powder, sooner than later. And it never happened.
Yeah. That never happened,
Yeah.
Thank God for that.
Right. Although now that you don't have to, the government doesn't have anything to do with supplements. You can just call it a supplement.
Yeah, there you go.
That's true. The zombie powder is just opioids.
Yeah, exactly.
It's bath salts.
Yeah. There you go.
Right? It's bath salts.
Yeah.
Did you watch anything, Garrick?
I did. Mine is not near as fantastic as Doug's. I watched Hangman, Al Pacino's.
What's that, from 2015?
Yes. It is a terrible, terrible, terrible Seven spinoff where the murderer is making a hangman, as in the game, where you sit around with your buddy. It was, I'm not real sure. I think the only thing that I can explain is that they made Al Pacino an offer he couldn't refuse financially.
Yeah.
Or he took it because he needed it bad.
I don't think he needs it. I think it was
That's the point. There's only three redeeming qualities of this. I'll give you a quick rundown. He's a retired cop, and another guy, and I just totally lost his name. He's in. Oh no, I just totally lost his name. He's in the Thor movies.
I've seen it.
Carl Urban.
Carl Urban.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
here we go.
He was in Thor 3. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, ready? We're still recording. All right, 12:05. Okay, so it stars Al Pacino, Brittany Snow, and Carl Urban. A guy directed it, Johnny Martin. Don't know much about him. He didn't do a good job. Of course, I don't even know if it was him. It might be the script. I'm not real sure how this movie got made, but it really is just basically a very boring 7.
Yeah. Al Pacino just sleepwalking through it.
Yeah, pretty much. Carl Urban plays Detective Will Rooney, and he comes to Al Pacino, who's Ray Archer, detective. He's retired, who can't really get out of the game, doesn't want to get out of the game, but does. And they draw him back in to this thing, and of course, Al Pacino. Spoiler! Trust me, you don't want to watch it. The killer has something to do with Al Pacino, and his name is the killer calls him out early on in the puzzle. And you know what? And that's pretty much it. And it's terrible.
What'd you watch it on? Did you rent it? Or?
Yeah, rented it. I rented it for a reason.
Okay.
This is one of those movies that I would never look at. And I knew from the get-go that it was terrible. However, my friend, the marketing manager, actually, ironically, at Golden Ticket, Chris Sepulveda,
Right.
who's been in a couple of our movies in the past. It's actually an extra, played a dead guy in the movie. It was shot in Atlanta, which obviously is another cool thing. It's
Clam Sepulveda.
Yeah.
Clam.
He is widely known.
Clam Sepulveda.
Cool.
Focus Clam.
Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah, Clam Sepulveda. Good friend. Yeah, so he's extra.
In that movie. Cool.
Yeah, he's an extra in the movie. So I was like, when I saw it, I was like, oh, I've got to rent this. So I've got to see this.
Yeah.
So there you go. Yep.
Can we give you a Clam story?
Yeah. You want to give a Clam story?
Just a quick one, because I don't know the guy. Yeah. But I will tell you this. I did stand in line beside of him opening night at midnight to go see The Phantom Menace.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember being like, man, that's a weird looking dude. Because he was costumed out. I can't remember exactly who was costumed out, but I was like, man, that's weird. Like,
he was part of Clam and Chainsaw that
yes,
used to do all those reviews back when he's old school.
And I saw his picture like a couple of days later in the Focus, and I was like, well, shit, I was just sitting with that guy watching Phantom Menace.
That's it. He's the marketing manager. How fun is that? So he's a good buddy of mine. We met. I met him on Badass Killers.
Right, same man.
Same as when I met Lee.
Yeah.
And we've just been friends ever
Yet
since.
to be released masterpiece.
He is the marketing manager at Golden Ticket, which is the whole tie-in. Oh, there's my kid's school calling. Yeah. Anyway, okay, so there you go. Hangman, miss it. Don't watch it. It's terrible. But if you want to see my buddy Chris Sepulveda, Clam Sepulveda, play a dead guy on a gurney for about a 10-minute scene, then you should rent it. It's worth the $1 at the Family Video.
Yeah, there you go. Or buy it. He might get a residual check. You don't know.
Yeah, you never know.
Is that all you watched?
Well, man, yeah, because, I watched other stuff. But,
What else did you watch?
Well, I have been full force NBA All-Star week.
Right.
So I have been sitting behind the camera and rehearsing camera moves and then sitting for an hour and rehearsing more camera moves and sitting for an hour. And so, being in with the baseball or the basketball fever, I watched He Got Game while I was sitting in my chair.
Very nice. Yeah, that's
wonderful movie. We won't have to talk about that now. We'll talk about the end of the show. But anyway, that's about it. That's all I've been able to. I haven't had much time this week.
Yeah.
What'd you watch?
I watched a movie from 2015 or 16. It's a Western with Ethan Hawke and John Travolta called In the Valley of Violence. And it starts off pretty strong, and it just about halfway through it just peters out.
Well, it's a great name. What a great name.
Yeah, and it has the best dog
Violence.
in any movie ever. The dog in it, who is Ethan Hawke's dog, is the coolest dog you ever see in a movie.
In the Valley.
Like he's like.
Where'd you rent that at?
I rented it at the Big Time Video Outlet in Spindale, North Carolina.
What kind of dog?
Just a mutt. I mean, not really, but it's like it's one of the best characters in the movie.
Cool.
And it was actually one of I looked up. It was actually that movie that garbage that won Best Picture like 5 years ago. The Artist. The same guy trained that dog. Yeah.
God, yeah. What happened there?
We'll get into that when we do a show about the Oscar. We'll get into. I have a whole list. I have a whole list of terrible Oscar winners I want to go over because in the last 20 years there have been many.
Yes,
but anyways, but yeah, like I say, half of it, the first half, really well done, but it doesn't gain like a lot of movies that try to be genre movies and dramatic. They don't gain momentum when they should.
No climax.
And I watched a new Van Damme movie called The Bouncer, where he plays a bouncer, and it kind of plays to him. It kind of plays to him being old, like he's a guy. He's got a young daughter. Lives in. It's actually It's actually in his home country of Belgium.
Oh, cool.
So it's a Flemish film, and he's a bouncer in a strip club. This rich guy comes in, getting all handsy with a young woman. The guy tries to throw a punch at Van Damme. He just sort of blocks him. The guy loses his footing and busts his head open. Well, the guy's dad is like a, diplomat. So he ends up getting fired.
Does he say real fast? Does he say, "You're too stupid to have fun"? And
he doesn't say hardly anything in the movie. Oh. He's a very dour, he plays it sort of. No, it's not. It's the opposite of Roadhouse. It's more of a crime film than it's an action film. And this guy, when he gets arrested for busting this guy's head open, he's like, "Man, I was just doing my job." And the guy's like, "Listen, man, this guy said he's not a cop. You kind of get the sense that he's like an Interpol agent or something." he tells him if he goes to this other like strip club and interviews for the job, a bouncer there, and gets the job there, and if anything illegal goes on and reports it back to him, no charges will be filed. So he goes to this really scummy looking strip club in Bruges, and they take him down in the basement, and there's like 4 of the guys there, and he's like, all right, start fighting. Last guy standing gets the job. So he barely wins it, you know, and he gets the job, and just these guys are just scumbags, like they're dealing drugs, they're dealing weapons and all this stuff. And they find out he has a daughter, and they end up kidnapping his daughter, and he's got, and like I said, it's not like a Van Damme movie. It's more like Taken or something like that. Right. A little more dramatic. But I enjoyed it. Like I rented it from Redbox. I got my $1.75 worth. I mean, he's actually really good at it. Cool. You know.
I'm not a big Van Damme fan now, unless I'm eating mushrooms, of course, and I'm
right.
stuck watching Cyborg. Yeah. But you know, I've never really just been.
I haven't revisited many of his early mid-90s movies. I just, you know.
Have you guys ever seen JCVD, the movie where he plays himself?
Where he plays himself, and it's like a bank
robbery.
He's
really good in that. Yeah. Like he's actually really
JVCD. That's the name of the movie.
Yeah, he's like broken.
JCVD. It's his initials.
He's like broken down. And
he,
like his kids hate him. His wife or ex-wife hates him, and he doesn't get caught up in a.
He goes into like a bank to like cash a check, and a robbery happens, and like cops come, and like the robbers are so happy that he's there. They're like, "Do a kick, man!" And he's like, "Ah!" And he gets like involved. And then there's a scene where he sits down, and it's clearly he's on like a crane, and it lifts up above the set, and the camera's just right in his face, and he has this like monologue. He's like, man, I should have done this, I should have done that, I should have done less coke. He's like, when I was huge in the early 90s and I got offered these dramatic movies, I should have done them as opposed to doing Street Fighter. He's like, he just goes to this place where he just fucked everything up. And then the camera...
It's true, though, isn't it?
Yeah, and the camera lowers back down, and it goes back into the movie. And like I said, he's really good at it.
I might have to check that out.
It's a straight up...
Yeah.
It's like a biography kind of.
It's like a fake biography.
Yeah. It's kind of like a Spinal Tap. This is Spinal Tap,
sort of, but
not quite as
goofy. But
it's still got levity to it. It's not ultra serious.
No,
you know? He doesn't take himself very seriously.
Like there's an awesome scene at the beginning where it's like an action scene, and there's like a guy with a flamethrower, and he's knocking guys out, and then the set falls down, and he's just standing like, "What happened?" And the director doesn't even care. He's like, man, I need this money. He's like, come on, we got to get this together. And the director's like, whatever. And but it's like the opening of the movie. And when you see it, you're like, oh, this movie looks awesome. I wish I would see.
That's on Amazon, isn't it?
I think so.
It
used
to be or something.
Yeah.
It was a few years ago because it was the first thing he had done in several years, and I remember there was a lot of talk about damn, Van Damme's back, and this is.
He's done in the last, I'll say 10 years. He's done a lot of quality things.
Yeah, good for him.
Yeah.
No. I never hated on him.
Right.
But, you know.
Yeah.
You get your...
He did a lot of terrible movies.
Your broken English, martial arts star, from wherever.
He'll admit a lot of his,
Oh, of course. But now he's doing Totino's commercials.
Exactly. Hey, good for him.
Yeah.
But, those are only 2 things I watched.
Okay. Well, that JC, I'm actually... Sorry, guys. I'm not... I'm actually looking at... See if I can rent that, because that sounds kind of interesting.
It is interesting. It's well done.
Well, tonight's movie was no Jean Claude Van Damme movie at all. It was Peter Jackson's early film, Dead Alive.
Or Brain Dead in the rest of the world.
Yes, Brain Dead in New Zealand and the rest of the world.
But there was a Roger Corman movie called Brain Dead in America, so they had to switch it to Dead Alive.
Dead Alive, yes, and it's a couple of cool little facts they used in the big bloody scene at the end. They used actually prune juice.
Yeah, 200 gallons for what I understand.
200 gallons of prune juice, and in New Zealand, at the box office, it actually beat out Batman Returns.
Yeah,
and in Sweden, when the video rental came out. They actually gave out. Oh, I said this, but they gave out supplemental barf bags for your with your rental. That's how bloody and guts this thing is.
It was a $3 million movie, and at that time, I think that it might not have been the most expensive New Zealand movie ever, but it was one of. Because that was a big budget movie for 1992. I guess when they made it. But yeah, just a simple, kind of like we were talking about last week. It's almost like a 50s horror comic, like Tales from the Crypt comic. Guy. Overbearing mother, falls in love with the girl who works at the shop down the street. There's at the local zoo. They have at the opening of the movie. It actually takes place on Skull Island, which is the same island that King Kong takes place of, because obviously Peter Jackson.
Sanjaya!
Peter Jackson's obsessed with King Kong, and they bring this Sumatran rat monkey, which if it bites you, turns you into a zombie, which makes as much sense as anything else.
Sure.
And the mom goes to the zoo and gets bit and everything, and just from there on, everybody turns into a zombie, basically. And it's a really funny, well-made movie.
Oh yeah, I there's not a bit of that movie that I don't like.
Yeah.
Like, and like you said, it's interesting because I haven't seen this movie in a long time, but the whole side story about mom catching dad, dad drowned, and then this is a spoiler, but whatever. That dad drowned because it's really the backstory is really irrelevant to the movie.
But that is something that a lesser filmmaker wouldn't have had that in the movie.
Yeah,
the subplot about the dad. His mom she murdered his dad and her dad's mistress when he was 6, and basically that's use that to sort of keep him in his place his entire life, even though he blocked it from his mind.
Yep.
It's
dead alive from the first time where the rat grabs another monkey, pulls him through the bars, and then bites the mom. And the next morning, Lionel comes in there and opens the curtains and unravels this Band-Aid where the mom had been bit by the rat, and it's pulsating. It looks just absolutely disgusting. From that moment on, you just know what you're getting yourself into.
Exactly.
There was actually a couple times where I actually dry heaved. I actually gagged. Yeah. I think things have changed for me. So.
Well, the custard scene is rough.
Yes, the custard scene. That was one where she squeezes her wound and it pops little goo and blood into this dude's Pusstard. And I was like, but what do you think, man?
I mean, it's a good time. Yeah. It is. It's nothing to be taken too seriously.
Yeah, it could be the ultimate party movie.
Yes, you could watch this. I mean, it's not. I wouldn't say it's really for children per se, but if I'm 15, 16 years old, I would have absolutely freaking loved this movie.
Oh, how old would your son have to be before you let him watch this movie?
Probably 14.
14? How old is he now?
He's 11.
Okay. Yeah,
not far.
I want an 11-year-old watch it. That's
not far away.
Yeah.
No River and Oliver for this fun. No. Why?
I don't think Oliver would like it.
Yeah, I think he'd think it's ridiculous. I think River would be like,
They'd
this is ridiculous.
just be like, this is stupid.
Some dude's anus is attacking that guy.
Well, it just looks, it looks like it was made in 92.
Yeah.
Was
or
that
even
his
a little
butthole?
bit before. But it's got some great gags. It's got some great tricks that they use. My favorite is probably the Ed Gein lamp, where this woman basically gets a lamp shoved into her head, and it's like a skin lamp. But I mean, there's countless.
Yeah.
I like the anus animation, where watching it, and it actually farted, and Doug looked over at me and said, "Was that his butthole?"
Yeah. A guy's intestinal tract comes to life and has a personality. They'll never see another movie where a guy's intestines chase a guy around the house. It becomes like a rabid dog. In a while, the intestines for part of the movie, they're the villain of the movie.
Sure.
Yeah.
I like the zombie baby.
Zombie baby.
The zombie baby was cool. The priest was great.
Yeah.
What's he say? I fight.
I kick ass for the
ass
Lord.
For the Lord. I kick ass for the Lord.
But as gory and over the top as it is, it's a good time. It's you go into this not taking it too seriously, you'll enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are.
Let me ask you, guys, when did you first see this movie?
Man, it had to have been high school.
Yeah.
Obviously, after high school, because it came out in 97?
No, 93.
93, which would have been the year we graduated.
Yeah.
And I didn't see it till VHS. It must have been Los Angeles. Had to have been 1998, 1997.
Okay, I was just wondering.
Probably mid-90s.
Yeah.
I know I didn't see it right when it came out. It was one of those have you seen this? And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember not seeing it just from Fangoria magazine.
Right.
Because it was on the cover, the nurse with the thing in her head.
Yes,
she was
I
the cover of the
remember
magazine.
that magazine.
And I still
that
have it
magazine.
somewhere, but it's basically pieces. It's just, it's a 20-year-old magazine. or 25-year-old magazine. But they wrote about it for months, and that's how I found out about it. My first Peter Jackson movie was The Frighteners. You know,
with Michael J. Fox.
Like his last horror movie, basically. You know,
I think that was probably mine too.
Yeah, but I knew of him.
Saw that at the Crown.
And
went to watch that at the Crown.
yeah, I saw it at the Mall Cinema, which is now I think a Holiday Inn. You know, and but anyway, yeah. So I knew of him, but I'd not seen. And later on, found it on VHS. You know,
Right.
And just couldn't believe it because I grew up loving the Evil Dead movies, and the thing these two movies have in common is Splatstick, which is like it's like a Charlie Chaplin movie or a Buster Keaton movie, but instead of like a pie fight, it's blood and brains.
Yeah, that's funny. And Doug even said in the middle of the movie, he said, "If you told me that Sam Raimi directed this, I would
completely believe.
I would completely believe you." And you're right. Just it's the wide angle lens, the use of the wide angles, and the camera moving, the tilts, the lighting,
all of it.
Just the ridiculousness.
And the brevity of the story.
Yeah.
Not taking itself too seriously, and kind of being silly.
And they're both similar because they both grew up making like Super 8 movies.
Yeah.
So by the time they became adults, they knew how to make movies. Like they had they've developed a style. And which is weird that now, like when you think about like the biggest directors, like big tentpole directors, it's like Sam Raimi, Peter Jackson, James Cameron. They're all former low budget horror movie directors, and it's because I think they have skills that like a more mainstream director just doesn't have. You know, if you give them, you know, $100, they'll get you something out of it.
Yeah,
you know, whereas like Darren Aronofsky, he would just be standing there with $100 in his hand, like I don't know what to do.
Well, yeah, and I think a lot of those guys, and Robert Rodriguez is in that group, where you figured out how to be creative without money.
Yeah,
you know, like they'll say a lot of the best cinematographers come from porn. And the reason is because porn doesn't have that budget to figure out how to light.
Right.
And so you creatively figure out how to make things look good.
Well, that movie we covered a few weeks ago, Shakedown. Like a lot of those New York genre filmmakers, like William Lustig, James Glickenhaus, that's what they started out doing in the 70s, was working on porn sets.
Yeah.
You know, and like I say, it's a film school where you get paid. You know.
Yeah, it's great.
And but I love this movie. I remember it. It was a big like pay-per-view movie when it came. That's how I first saw footage from it. Was they would be like, "Man, this the goriest movie ever," and it was like on the pay-per-view channel. Like,
the goriest movie ever.
Yeah. And so yeah, I can't really. I mean, to me, I can't think of negative about the movie. Like if you like this type of movie, you'll love it. There's no middle ground.
There's a very mild negative from me, but it's not really a negative. But sometimes, man, there's another movie, and I'm not comparing these two movies in any way. The Passion of the Christ.
Right, I see what you're saying.
Whereas and Dead Alive both have that one element where you're almost numb. So by say, this movie's 97 minutes. At 82 minutes, it's like, holy God.
It's like you said.
Do I have to really watch another beheading? Do I have to watch more? Do I have to watch an intestines?
Yeah. It's like you said.
Dry hump this dude's face.
Yeah, it's like you said at a buffet, just shove it through, and you're just full. You're like, I cannot take anymore.
Yes,
but then he walks in with the lawnmower, and you're like, I can take some more.
Yeah, he does the lawnmower. I know, but then he's done, and he almost, he's sitting there holding the lawnmower. Which if you've seen the movie, he decides to get rid of these zombies by turning his lawnmower on and chopping them into shreds.
He's holding a push lawnmower.
So and then they kiss. Their blood, him and the love interest kiss. What was her name? Paquita. They kiss, and they almost slip on all the blood.
Yeah.
You could have rolled the credits there.
Right.
No. Mama has to come out of the floor with her tits hanging out and her stomach.
She looks like if Jim Henson did a bunch of bad acid. Not like the real, but like the big Muppets, like Sweetums, the big hairy one.
Yes.
Like one of those, and it went bananas.
Yeah, no, that's right. And so you do that for it, and then. So then she swallows him whole, and then he cuts himself out with the necklace, and there's blood just spewing everywhere, and you're like, I've had enough. Just
the mantra of this movie is overkill is underrated.
It's definitely
if you
underrated.
think there's too much, there's more coming.
Well, here's my thing.
Yeah.
From a technical, since I'm the technical guy, the filmmaker guy, how those grip guys, when they finished that last scene, when they were done, they said, that's a wrap. Those dudes walk in and go, holy shit, I got to clean this up.
See, I mean, do you think that, I mean, if it was a location, I assume it was a build, and they just knocked it down.
You're right. There's still going to be residue.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think it's crazy. I mean, gore's been around. I think D.W. Griffith's Intolerance was the first one that did gore, did gunshot wounds and decapitation, and then in like 1934 there was a production code administration that actually censored all that stuff.
Right.
And it wasn't until 1963 that they started allowing the splatter on the walls.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Anyway, where I'm going with this is, it's movies like this. I'm wondering, how much was plastic? What was the location?
Yeah.
How do you control that?
I don't know.
How do you
I wouldn't have done
control that kind of blood? You don't get it splattered on the camera. Sure, you shoot from a long way away, but that involves like distance.
Oh, yeah.
But even then, you've got blood squirt. I mean, it's coming out. It's not fake. That's all practical.
Oh, yeah.
It's going somewhere.
Yeah. I honestly don't know. Were there holes in the floor where like...
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Do you build that into like a shower where it's actually draining out? Like, it's crazy. I mean, think about Kill Bill. 450 gallons of blood on Kill Bill. Right. They would chop those things and squirt that blood.
Oh, yeah.
It's going somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
Where's it going? And, I mean, what if you blow a take... You get it all over the walls. Somebody's got to scrub it off the walls, and they got to bring in another wall.
Yep, that's true.
All this for splatter.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
I don't know. It's like technically, it's an amazingly well done movie.
Absolutely,
it really is.
I'll give it to.
And I can see why people like Robert Zemeckis and other people looked at this movie and were like, "That's the guy," because he was hired after this. He was hired to do. I think it was before this. It was in. It had to be in the late because he got hired to do Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3 and one of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. And just his scripts were so weird. They were like, okay, you're done. And that's why he went back and made this movie. Because his first movie, Bad Taste, is about a outer space fast food company that has come to Earth and basically killed an entire village so they can make them into food, basically to market test human flesh as the new taste sensation of the universe. And they come from the planet Bastard. And basically this group of commandos, which they all look like they're roadies for Whitesnake. They were just Peter Jackson's friends. It's basically these group of 5 guys versus these aliens. And his second movie, Meet the Feebles, is like that movie you were talking about. What's the movie with the puppet movie that came out last year with Melissa McCarthy?
Happy Time Murders.
Happy Time Murders. Except there are no humans in Meet the Feebles. It's all puppets. And one guy, he's in Vietnam. He has the deer hunter flashback, and all the Vietnamese puppets are Siamese cats. And then he's got like a drug problem, and he thinks he has AIDS and all this stuff. And that's like a subplot. Yeah. And just at the end, one of the puppets goes insane with a machine gun and starts blowing everyone away. I can't believe somebody looked at this guy and were like, let's give him $300 million to make the Lord of the Rings movies. It just seems ridiculous.
Yeah. Maybe it was his New Zealand connections. Maybe it was what he could bring to the table.
That's true. I mean, he is like an all-around filmmaker.
Like all that stuff. If we attach Peter Jackson, we can get Weta for this amount of money. You know what I mean?
Because he co-founded it,
It's all interconnected. It's kind of like, hey, well, if we hire Garrick, we can get his airy lights.
Right. There you go.
We don't have to hire a gaffer because he's already a gaffer.
Yeah, that's true. That's
I think there were a lot of directors brought in on that project that were talked to.
Yeah.
And they wanted to see what their vision for it was,
That's true.
And Jackson had a 3-movie vision that he was able to say, look, we're going to do this, and this.
And he knows how to shoot fast. And
right.
Yeah.
And this is a group of books that, for most of the time, the last 50 years, it's one of those that'll never be able to be made into a live-action movie. And for me, Jackson did as good a job with it as anybody else could have.
Well, let me ask you guys a question. Do you think success like that ruins filmmakers? Like we talked about James Cameron
Absolutely.
last week. He's not the same James Cameron.
Absolutely.
And but at the same time, I mean, you want to move forward in your career.
Right.
Like he said when he did Dead Alive, he's like, I did a splatter movie as well as it could be done. He said if I made another one, I would have just been lazy. And then he made that drama with Kate Winslet about the teenage girl that murders her parents.
Heavenly Bones.
Heavenly Bodies.
Yes.
And
which I didn't mind.
It's not a bad movie, but I think that was also something that helped him get lower because they saw he could do genre stuff and more dramatic stuff, you know, as opposed to like just a special effects director.
And I'll retort that. I don't think that it ruins him, but it can. I think it has. It has before.
That's what I'm saying. But I mean, you can't. It's very like a director. You can't go back. Like Jon Favreau couldn't make Swingers or Made now.
No,
because he's the guy who made Iron Man. So I think it kind of, and not ruin it, but I guess spoils you is the best way to put it.
Yeah,
it's spoil. You can't go back to being the guy you were when everybody loved you.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Alita came out with Robert Rodriguez, but I always said that Spy Kids came out.
Yeah.
And he did once he got all that money for Spy Kids, and then he built his own basic assembly line for movies. He started pumping out garbage.
Oh, yeah.
And it was garbage.
I think,
garbage. It's everything he pumps out's garbage. His whole El Rey network is terrible. There's nothing good on that channel.
I think when he started shooting digitally, he was basically able to shoot anything.
Yeah.
You know, which
I
do like the first Sin City movie.
Oh, I did too. Yes, I did too.
And I think that was as good as he was going to get. Like, that was his peak.
I think that was his last.
Yeah, last good movie.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
But I think like when I was in film, I went to a technical film school and we shot on film. We shot on 16, Super 16, Super 35, and digital video. And the best thing my teacher told me, he said, even if you're shooting video, he said, think of every frame as a $20 bill. Doesn't matter if it's digital video and you can just shoot forever. He said, you have to think of the time and how much, the money and people's time you're wasting. He said, every frame is a $20 bill. He said, never just think of it as, it's endless.
Oh, it was.
And I think that's kind of how Rodriguez thinks. So he thought, it's whatever. It's endless. I can just shoot whatever. Yeah. And I think he sort of lost...
Like jobbers.
He's lost the discipline of being a film... a shot-on-film director.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's where he came from.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the guy that came to my school my junior year and said, film is going to be dead, the video. And, of course, I'm the guy going, you're crazy, you're full of crap, but he was right.
Yeah.
Because you really can't. You can't argue.
No.
You just can't argue with it anymore. And now you don't even know the difference.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't know the difference.
Soderbergh shoots movies on iPhones now.
Yeah, and you don't, and there's no, no difference. Well, yeah, great movie, lots of gore.
Yeah. If you haven't seen it, which if you're listening to this podcast, I can't imagine. But just... Yeah. And he is working on a 4K Blu-ray release of his first 3 movies.
Nice.
So if sometime this year, if you haven't seen it, check it out. It's out of print right now. Unfortunately, the DVD is extremely expensive on eBay because people are savages. But it'll be out later this year. It'll be out better than it looked, when it came out. And
if anybody out there worked on the movie, would want to send me an email and let me know how the cleanup went on that, I would really like to know. I really did scour the internet looking for production notes to figure out how they did that. Because, Kubrick, when he did The Shining, it took him, he did that scene for a year. It was the last thing that they shot.
Right.
They did that over and over. Literally, like dumping all that blood into the elevator. He did it over and over and over. But I cannot find any notes on how, logistically, where's that blood go? Where? How are you building that? How's that working? They probably made a whole drain. But anyway, so there you go. Hey, anybody that worked on anybody from New Zealand listening to my podcast, my email address is glane@garricklane.com. Feel free to send me a message and tell me how in the world you guys did all that and then cleaned it up and did another take, because it amazes me.
Yeah.
Movie magic, baby. Movie magic. Skip it or rent it. I think
it's a rent. I think this is a classic. It's a rent.
It's a rent it.
Yeah. Especially if you've never seen it. Yeah. And if you have, then you know why. And you'll watch it again.
And if you've got a weak stomach, you should get you a little trash can, because honestly, there is a couple of moments.
There's a couple of queasy moments.
There is definitely a couple of queasy moments.
Pusstard.
Yeah, there's nothing to do with the zombies, really. It's all little stuff.
Don't eat the Pusstard.
Stay away from the Pusstard.
Or eat the Pusstard.
Or eat the Pusstard. That's right. Yeah. That's right. Well, you got us. Well, so we're going to rent this movie now. Are we going to rent something else?
I got another New Zealand gore movie.
Da, 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 da.
Yep. It is from a few years ago. It has one of the greatest titles of all time. It is from 2015. It's called Deathgasm.
Oh, that sounds phenomenal.
And it is this guy. He's like his parents die. He's like 16 years old. His parents get killed in a car wreck, and he's really into heavy metal, and gets sent. And he's from New Zealand, but gets sent to live sort of in the middle of nowhere, kind of like where this movie takes place, with his very religious aunt and uncle. And he's got a cousin there who's like a rugby player, real sort of jockey douche, beats him up all the time. And he meets this group of sort of high school kids who are outcasts, and they decide to start a band. And of course, the metal band they start is Deathgasm, no lowercase, because lowercase is for pussies. And as talking about how much they love metal and everything in their new band, there's sort of a local legend of a guy who was a heavy metal guy from the 80s who supposedly had these sort of pages from this Necronomicon type book.
Da 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 da!
And was going to decipher the words and make a song out of it. Well, then he disappeared. Well, one of them hears, this guy, he lives in this old creepy mansion up in the hills. And they get him, and they find the pages, and they decipher the song. Well, that's the terrible, because that's what brings about all these demons. People around just start getting demon-possessed, and they have to make all these, weapons and stuff to just chop. And much like the Evil Dead movies, the only way to deal with these possessed people is to dismember them. And it's going to sound weird to say, it's oddly a very sweet movie. Like the relationship between the friends, the relationship between the guy and the girl he likes, it's very funny and sweet. And there's a scene at the end when they've killed a bunch of people. Like Dead Alive, the floor is just covered in blood. And the douchey cousin who's been beating him up the whole movie comes in and he just cuts his head off. And his cousin wasn't possessed. And one of his friends is like, "Why did you do that?" He's like, "Oh, did you not see he was possessed?" He was like, "Oh, Satan." And they never mention it again. They're just like, "Oh, that happened." And it's a very,
Where can we get this?
it can be gotten.
Do you know? Oh, it's all right if you do.
It was on Netflix.
It was on Netflix, but it can be rented.
Sure.
Online.
Deathgasm.
Deathgasm.
That
And
sounds awesome.
the director's got a new movie out called Guns. Not a movie. It's not coming. It's coming out later this year. Called Guns Akimo, which stars Daniel Radcliffe from the Harry Potter movies. And the only thing I know about it, he has fuzzy bedroom slippers on, boxer shorts, a bathrobe, and he's holding 2 guns. There's a picture you can find online, and apparently he runs around like that the entire week.
So he's dying of cancer and he's killing people.
I guess we'll find out.
That sounds cool too. Guns of Chemo.
Yeah.
All right.
But, similar tone, similar sort of irreverent comedic tone to that.
How's it rate next to our movie tonight?
It's
Blood-wise.
Blood-wise, very bloody.
So 10 plus as well?
Yeah, but the movie, it's not as good as Dead Alive.
It's hard
but it's,
to do.
for the guy's first movie, yeah. And it's got a lot of heart, it's got a lot of really good jokes in it. And like I said, for a movie about a bunch of heavy metal kids that bring about a demonic apocalypse, it's a really sweet movie,
All right. Cool. Deathgasm.
Yep.
Fantastic.
There we go.
Yep. The Oscars are coming.
That's true.
The Oscars are coming.
Deathgasm was not nominated for one Oscar.
That gummit. However,
Yes.
Richard Taylor, who did the special effects for Dead Alive, the movie we watched tonight, won for King Kong,
Yep.
won for The Lord of the Rings twice. So there you go.
That's true.
Did not win for Dead Alive.
Did not win.
Did not win for Dead Alive.
Yeah.
Probably should have.
Probably should have. Of those 3, that one was probably the most difficult.
Yeah, I don't even know back then if they had special effects in the Oscars.
Well, they have it, but it's called he won for digital effects. The 2 he won because Weta has a makeup house and a digital. It's 2 in 1. The makeup Oscar, it's hair and makeup. So Rick Baker won for American Werewolf in London, but you can also win for making somebody look like Teddy Roosevelt, and those are not the same thing, But as as we'll talk about here shortly, the amount of awards is sort of apparently a problem.
Yeah, it is. And I will say this, getting into news tonight.
Yep.
I appreciate the Academy of Motion Picture Sciences retorting their decision to announce the cinematography and the wardrobe and the editing and the short documentary categories during commercials. Did you hear about this? I'm sure everybody has heard about this. And it's great that my colleagues at the ASC, the guys that are like me, very quietly protested this decision. Because, let's be honest, So this year, the Oscars, Kevin Hart was supposed to do the Oscars, decided he wasn't going to apologize for some gay joke he made back when he was 14.
Right.
And he just decided that, hey, I'm not going to do that to get this job. Well, they've been without a host.
Yeah.
So then they decided, well, we just will not do it without a host. If you're not doing the Oscars without a host, then you won't go long because the host is half the reason. You get the host comes out and does a musical number, does a 5, 10 minute, 20 minute intro,
right,
and then goes in and out. You got all this extra time, and then they come out. They announced last week that they're going to show the cinematography, the editing, the short documentary, and wardrobe and makeup. Makeup.
Yeah,
and they said they pulled it out of the hat.
Yeah.
That's what they pulled out of the hat. No, they didn't, because
you
ain't...
Sure.
I bet you if you did all that out of a hat, I bet you didn't pull Best Actor.
That's what I'm saying. It was all, if there was a hat, it was all technical Oscars.
It was all technical Oscars. Now, here's the thing. I get it.
I don't think there was a hat, though.
But the actors have the Screenwriters Guild. They've got the People's Choice.
Yeah.
They've got the Golden Globes. And they've got the Oscars. They get plenty. Cinematographers, the ASC has the ASC Awards and the Oscars. And I'm going to be honest. Without the cinematographers and without the editors, the best pictures and the best actors don't make it.
Yeah.
That's the reason we're celebrating cinema.
Well, that's what Guillermo del Toro said. He said those are the two things that separate it from a play, is editing and cinematography.
You're exactly
everything
right.
else is just a play. You need to go see that. They got makeup, they got hair, they got wardrobe, they got actors. But those are the two things that make the movies.
We don't celebrate. We're not celebrating. Well, I don't celebrate my profession to entertain people just to entertain the masses.
Right.
You celebrate the Oscars to celebrate the talent of the people within that profession. If you don't want to watch the Oscars, don't watch the Oscars. It's once a year.
Yeah.
Yes, it's always long, and it always takes till after midnight, but it's once a year.
Yeah.
Show all the categories. I am very impressed that the Academy changed their mind.
Yeah.
I think, and it's funny because it didn't take Twitter. It didn't take Twitter blowing up and Kevin Hart, when he cheated on his wife or whatever, all these things that happened. It just simply was a petition that was written very quietly. And then, of course, some of the actors started getting in going, you can't do that. You can't do that. And they were like, okay, fine.
That's what I was going to say. I could see
Russell Crowe and them were like, well, we're just not going to come.
I could see a lot of actors and a lot of directors and a lot of...
banding together.
Yeah, being like, well, now, wait a minute.
Yeah. So that's great.
And good for them. That shows that they actually...
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Care. They don't feel like they're above it, and that's just I can get anybody to do this. The reality is they can't.
Right.
And the guys that win this or that are nominated multiple times or have been nominated multiple times, there's a damn good reason for it. Because they're really, really good at what they do.
Yeah. Also, would it kill them to stunt people an Oscar? I mean,
I agree with you.
There's 2 writing Oscars, and I'm pretty sure the only writer that ever died on a film set was a fucking suicide. And stunt guys die all the time. That's anyway.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Best stunt or best,
just best stunt coordinator. That's all it's got to be. You ain't got to give like stunt man, stunt woman. Just best,
and I think they do that in the technical sciences.
No, they don't. No, they've given Yakima Canute, the guy who did the Cherry Race and Ben-Hur, and Hal Needham, the guy who directed Smokey the Bandit. They've gotten 2 Lifetime Achievement Awards. Those are the only 2 that have ever been given.
Well, there you go. So now we need to make that letter. The only thing is we got to get a lot of people on board to do that.
Right.
I wonder if the stunts have their own...
Well, they have their own guild. I assume they do.
Yeah, they probably have some sort of guild.
Yeah, but it's probably at somebody's house. I mean, there's no show for that.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, they're not used as much either these days like they used to be.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
movies from the 70s and 80s. I mean, just about every one had some kind of stunt double or action. Nowadays, I would say it's quite a bit less. Wouldn't you agree?
I would agree, but then you have something like Mad Max Fury Road, which is 100% stunts. That's
awesome.
Even like the...
And it got a lot of Oscars.
It
I'm
did.
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt
That's
you.
okay.
It got a lot of Oscars, yeah.
But it's, I mean, you got a lot of technical awards, but it didn't, I mean, to me, that was the best movie of that year.
It's awesome.
I mean,
was.
after I walked out of the theater, I texted a buddy of mine. He said, how was it? And I just texted him, all other movies are bullshit.
Yeah, it really was good.
Yeah, it really was.
It felt really good, like everything about it, and it was really cool.
Yeah.
When the Oscars and the Globes came out, and Mad Max was on them, I'm like, dude, that's awesome.
That is awesome. Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah.
Yep, good stuff. Good stuff. You got any more news? You got us a trailer.
I do have a movie that's coming out, a New Zealand movie that's coming out. I saw the trailer just the other day. I was looking up stuff for this episode, and it's called Mega Time Squad.
Nice.
And it has some of the cast from What We Do in the Shadows. And it's weird because most time travel movies are, has to do with science. This is a time travel that has to do with magic. Guy robs a Chinese antique store and steals this ancient looking necklace, and it has some magical ability where you can time travel. And then, but apparently he's told there's a curse
I love it already.
If you meet if you time traveled to last week and met your last week's self, this demon would be released and you would be cursed. Well, this idiot just keeps going back further and makes like a small gang of himself, where he can rob banks and stuff and just,
It looks great.
It looks, like this, like Deathgasm, like Dead Alive. Like New Zealand movies just have this, and What We Do in the Shadows, this weird sense of humor. The only thing I can really compare it to is like Coen Brothers movies. All Coen Brothers movies have the same sense of humor, which is not like anything else. Like New Zealand, they just have this sort of laid back. Like in Dead Alive, nobody's that concerned that there are zombies. Like in What We Do in the Shadows, there are vampires, but it's not that big a deal. It's just sort of whatever, it'll be all right. Sort of sensibility, which is just so different than like if Dead Alive was made in remade in America, it would have, I don't know. It would just have a different tone to it. And Mega Time Squad has that same sort of laid back, weird,
lighthearted.
Super lighthearted. As weird and violent as things get, everything's just lighthearted.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it looks good.
Well, we'll put it up on the website.
Yeah.
We'll post it up on the website. You got to check it out.
Which is the difference between a movie we've talked a lot about, Terrifier. Terrifier has a similar amount of gore to Dead Alive, but it's so mean-spirited. Mm-hmm. Whereas this movie is way more violent than Terrifier was.
They're making a second one.
But it doesn't bother you because it's lighthearted.
It's lighthearted. Yeah,
exactly.
It's supposed to be ridiculous.
Yeah, there's nothing mean about it.
It's Evil Dead and this whole genre of this, it's almost like a fun gore.
Yeah.
If you can just deal with the ick, then the rest of it's...
Well, see, I think there's a difference between gore and splatter.
Yeah.
And I think is tone is the difference.
Yeah, it's the tone. Yeah. It is.
Terrifier...
And I know you guys got my little Instagram screenshot that they're actually making a second one.
Why would you not?
Good for him.
Well,
if there's money to be made, and
if the middle schoolers are in on it,
good. Hey, listen, I can't hate them.
No. I mean, that's what you do.
Will you watch it?
No, but I mean, I haven't watched. Half the Conjuring and whatever ghost movies.
Oh God, those are terrible.
But I mean, if people show up for it and puts asses in seats, God bless you.
Well, it's like the movie. I've been knee deep in NBA this week, so I've got my basketball shoes on. I'm thinking about Space Jam and Thunderstruck and all that, and He Got Game. And, so I went to Family Video and I rented Uncle Drew because I love that commercial. And Kyrie, I ended up with Kyrie a lot during our rehearsals. So of course I'm like, dude, this guy's so awesome. He shows up at a Special Olympics unified game. It's not in his contract, but he shows up and he assistant coaches. He just finds the time in his busy day to come over and hang out for 2 hours with the special needs kids and play basketball. That to me is the coolest thing you could ever be.
Right.
When James Harden won't give us an interview and Kyrie's coming over and spending 4 hours with special needs kids and signing autographs and doing all sorts of crazy stuff, you just got to love them. So anyway, where I'm going with this is I picked up Uncle Drew.
Yep.
And we watched, before you got here, we watched the first 20 minutes and, Lee's like, well, it's not very good. And I'm like, but you know what? If you can get Kyrie to be in this movie.
And Shaq and all those guys.
Yeah, Shaq and all those movies. The movie doesn't even matter because you can get it made because...
Kyrie's an odd guy.
Yeah.
He's a flat earther.
What's a flat earther?
People who believe the earth is flat.
Oh, yeah.
It started out as a thing on 4chan, like a trolling thing, and then some people looked at it and were like, well, that seems right.
Yeah.
And now there are a lot of people on the internet who thinks the earth is flat. Yeah.
Well, I don't care about that. He comes over to the special needs unified games.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I
And if I could call Kyrie and say, hey, I'm going to do this film about a bunch of white dudes coming in during one of your Boston Celtics games and robbing the place. It's going to be kind of like The Town Part 2, but I need you to be in it. And I could get him to sign a piece of paper saying, hey, I'll be in it. I'll even be one of the robbers. I could get that movie made.
That's true.
Just like that.
Yeah.
See,
It wouldn't even matter.
You and Kyrie are pals now?
No, I'm just saying. I'm saying Terrifier 2. If you can make a buck, they'll make the movie. Doesn't matter how terrible,
Oh, yeah,
how
absolutely.
good or bad it is.
Yeah.
That's 100% true.
Yeah,
That is
absolutely.
100% true. And I'm gonna be honest. You're right about Terrifier. Everybody's absolutely right. It probably is a bad movie, and I appreciate it for the small, low budget. But I could care less about watching Terrifier 2.
Right, yeah.
I mean, you know what I
It'll
mean?
just be the same
It's
movie.
the same thing.
Yeah.
It's going to be the same thing.
Right. And like I said, for people, the kids who are into Terrifier now, maybe in 5 years, somebody will hand them a DVD or a Blu-ray of Dead Alive, and they'll think, oh, this is like that, but it's good.
Yeah.
And maybe that'll lead them to other good movies. Who knows?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of violence and mean-spirited, got me a bloodbath showdown this evening. I'm going to do something a little bit different. My rape revenge poll didn't do so well.
No, I thought that it might not, and it did not.
It did not. People did not respond to that very well.
Yeah.
Well, whatever,
It can't all be winners.
It's all right. It's movies, and if you women are mad and hashtag me too about me putting up who.
Well, I mean, the whole point is they're at the end of the movie they're not sex objects. So that's kind of never mind.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, let's just keep mixing it and mashing it up. This week's bloodbath showdown: Lionel's lawnmower from Dead Alive facing Ash's chainsaw hand from the Evil Dead movies.
Right.
Which one's more badass?
There you go.
We'll find it out.
You go to the Facebook page and vote on it in a few days.
Absolutely. Go to the website, see the trailers, see Lee's Pick a Flick video. Go to the website and
We got a website, we got a Facebook page, we got an
we
Instagram
got
page.
all sorts of stuff, man. You guys got to check it out.
Yep.
All those links are in our bios and everything. So, good show, man. Good,
Yeah, very good show.
movie, good
Yep.
show. Got anything else to say?
Nope.
All right.
If you, when we put this up online, put it up on the Facebook page. If you guys love Dead Alive, or if you hate it, I don't care. Just go in there and comment and tell us what you think.
Yeah. Yeah, and give us a 5 barf rating from the 1 barf being not so good to 5 barfs being like awesome, and you dry heave the whole movie.
There you go.
There you go. Well, that's it from Tales from the Video Store this week. We'll see you in 10 days.
Yep.
That
Enjoy
was
the custard.
terrible. Hold on a second. Yeah. Don't drink the Pusstard. Thank you to our sponsors, Table Rock Creative, for all your video marketing needs. TableRockCreative.com. And Golden Ticket Cinemas, $5 movies before 7 o'clock every day.